We all crave those ride-or-die bonds, those you and me against the world connections. We call these pure, selfless friendships. But what if I told you that according to psychology giant Carl Jung, truly selfless friendship is almost impossible in reality? What I'm about to reveal will challenge everything you think you know about your closest relationships. The truth behind why we form friendships is far more fascinating and perhaps more selfish than most of us are willing to admit. This journey isn't just mind-blowing, it's life-changing. You'll never look at your social circle the same way again. By the end of this video, you'll understand the hidden psychological mechanisms driving every friendship you've ever had. If this already has you questioning your relationships, drop a comment below with your closest friendship story. Is it truly selfless? Hit that like button if you're brave enough to face the truth, and subscribe to join our community of truth seekers. Let's dive deep into the psychology of friendship. Now let's talk about what psychologist Carl Jung called persona, the first layer of our psyche that affects every friendship you've ever had. Have you ever wondered if you're actually friends with someone, or just in love with the image they project? That carefully curated best version they show the world. Jung believed we all wear masks in social situations, what he called our persona. It's not necessarily fake, but it's definitely selective. Think about it. You don't act the same way with your boss as you do with your childhood best friend, right? Here's where it gets interesting for friendship. When we first meet someone, we're not actually meeting them. We're meeting their persona, their social mask. And guess what? They're meeting yours too. I noticed this recently when I reconnected with my college roommate after 5 years. Back then, I knew him as the life of every party, always cracking jokes, always up for adventure. But when we met for coffee last month, I discovered a thoughtful, sometimes anxious person who uses humor as a shield. I realized I'd been friends with his persona all along. This happens because we're naturally drawn to people whose personas complement our own. The quiet introvert befriends the social butterfly. The serious academic connects with the creative free spirit. We're unconsciously filling gaps in our own personality through our friendships. And here's the brutal truth. Many friendships never go deeper than this persona level. They remain comfortable surface-level connections, where both people silently agree. I'll accept your mask if you accept mine. But is that really friendship? Or is it just two actors appreciating each other's performances? The most telling sign is how you feel after spending time with certain friends. Do you feel drained from maintaining your character? Or do you feel seen for who you really are? This isn't about labeling friendships as fake. It's about understanding their depth. Some persona-level friendships serve important purposes in our lives. But if you're looking for those profound connections that truly nourish your soul, you need to be willing to peek behind the mask, both yours and theirs. So here's my question for you. How many of your friendships have moved beyond the persona stage? Have you ever had a friendship transform after someone finally showed you who they really are? Share your experiences in the comments below. In a moment, we'll explore an even deeper layer of friendship psychology, the shadow, where things get even more fascinating. Now that we understand how our personas shape our friendships, let's dive deeper into what Jung called the shadow, the part of ourselves we hide not just from others, but often from our own awareness. Your shadow contains everything you don't want to acknowledge about yourself. Your insecurities, your shameful desires, your perceived weaknesses. It's the dark twin of your public persona. And here's where friendship gets really interesting. We often see our shadow reflected in the people we're drawn to. Have you ever had a friend who irritated you in ways you couldn't quite explain? Someone whose habits or traits triggered an almost irrational response in you? That's your shadow talking. Let me share a personal example. For years, I had this friend who I thought was overly sensitive, always needing validation, always worried about what others thought. Her insecurity drove me crazy. But one day, during a particularly honest conversation, I had a revelation. I wasn't annoyed because she was insecure. I was annoyed because she expressed the insecurity I worked so hard to hide. This is what psychologists call projection, when we unconsciously attribute our own unacknowledged qualities to others. Our friends often become mirrors, reflecting back parts of ourselves we're not ready to face. Think about your closest friendships. What qualities in them trigger strong reactions in you? What behaviors do you criticize most harshly? There's a good chance you're looking at aspects of your own shadow. But here's where true friendship becomes transformative. When you find someone who can see your shadow, all those parts you try to hide, and still choose to stay, something profound happens. You begin to integrate those rejected parts of yourself. You become more whole. This is why some friendships feel so threatening when they get too close. They're approaching the shadow material we've spent a lifetime burying. It's also why losing certain friends can feel like losing a part of yourself, because in a way, you are. The most powerful friendships are those where both people create a safe space to acknowledge their shadows, not to fix each other, but to witness each other fully. These friendships aren't about constant agreement or validation. They're about growth through honest reflection. So ask yourself, do your friendships help you confront your shadow, or do they reinforce your denial of it? Do your friends know the parts of yourself you're ashamed of? And if they did, would they still be there? Share in the comments a time when a friend helped you see something about yourself you couldn't previously acknowledge. Was it painful? Liberating? Both? Next, we'll explore an even more fascinating dimension of friendship, the Anima and Animus, and why we're unconsciously searching for our other half in our closest relationships. Have you ever met someone and felt an immediate, almost magnetic connection, as if you've known them forever? Jung would say you've encountered your Anima or Animus, the unconscious feminine or masculine aspects of your psyche projected onto another person. This third layer of friendship psychology explains why some connections feel so profound they border on magical. But there's a catch, and it's a big one. When we project our Anima or Animus onto friends, we're not seeing them as they truly are. We're seeing the missing parts of ourselves that we long to integrate. Let me share something personal. Years ago, I formed an intense friendship with someone who embodied everything I wasn't. Creative, spontaneous, emotionally expressive. I was drawn to them like a moth to flame. What I didn't realize was that I wasn't seeing them clearly. I was seeing my own undeveloped creative potential reflected back at me. This is the soulmate trap that many deep friendships fall into. We believe we've found our perfect complement, when really, we've found a canvas for our own psychological projections. These projections create an intoxicating feeling. Think about it. Haven't you had friendships that felt almost mystical in their intensity, where conversations flowed effortlessly for hours, where you felt completely understood without having to explain yourself? The danger comes when reality inevitably breaks through. Your friend will eventually do something that doesn't match your projection. They'll reveal themselves as a complex, flawed human rather than the idealized carrier of your Anima or Animus. And that's when many intense friendships implode. I've seen this pattern repeatedly in those best friend breakups, that feel more devastating than romantic ones. The intensity wasn't just about the connection. It was about what that person symbolized in your unconscious mind. So how do we move beyond this trap? Awareness is the first step. When you feel that magical connection, ask yourself, am I seeing this person clearly, or am I seeing parts of myself I haven't yet claimed? The most mature friendships evolve from projection to recognition. You begin to see that the qualities you admire in your friend aren't just out there. They're potential aspects of yourself waiting to be developed. This doesn't diminish the friendship. It transforms it. Instead of unconsciously using friends as repositories for disowned parts of yourself, you can consciously appreciate them as whole individuals while working to integrate those qualities you admire. Think about your closest friendships. What qualities do you admire most in these people? Could these be undeveloped aspects of yourself? What would it mean to recognize these qualities as potential parts of your own personality? The most beautiful thing about understanding the Anima/Animus dynamic is that it doesn't make friendships less magical. It makes them more authentic. When you can see beyond your projections, you can truly see your friend. And isn't that what we all want? To be truly seen? Share in the comments a time when you realized you were projecting onto a friend. How did this awareness change your relationship? Now let's explore the final and most profound layer of friendship psychology, individuation, and why the truest purpose of friendship isn't selflessness, but growth. Throughout this exploration, we've peeled back layers of what friendship really means, from the personas we present, to the shadows we project, to the soulmate illusions we create. But Jung's psychological framework culminates in something he called individuation, the process of becoming your complete, authentic self. And here's the radical truth about friendship. Its highest purpose isn't to be unconditionally supportive or eternally loyal. The most valuable friendships are those that challenge us to become more fully ourselves. Think about the friends who've most impacted your life. Were they the ones who always agreed with you? Or were they the ones who saw your potential and pushed you toward it? Sometimes uncomfortably so. Real friendship isn't about making each other feel good all the time. It's about making each other better. I remember a friendship that fundamentally changed me. This person constantly challenged my perspectives, questioned my assumptions, and refused to let me hide behind my usual defenses. Sometimes I left our conversations feeling frustrated or exposed, but over time, I realized they were helping me integrate parts of myself I'd been avoiding. My shadow, my anima, my authentic voice. This is what Jung meant by individuation, the ongoing process of reconciling the conscious and unconscious aspects of your personality. And paradoxically, this deeply personal journey often requires other people to help us see our blind spots. The most transformative friendships create what psychologists call a secure base, a relationship where you feel safe enough to explore the edges of your personality, to try on new ways of being, to integrate the disowned parts of yourself. When you find friends who can hold space for your growth without judgment, who can reflect back your authentic self rather than just your persona, who can challenge you without threatening your core sense of worth, these are the friendships that change your life. This explains why our most significant friendships often coincide with periods of major personal transformation. The college friend who helped you discover your values. The colleague who pushed you to pursue your passion. The unexpected connection that appeared just when you were questioning everything. These weren't coincidences. These relationships served as catalysts for your individuation. So what does this mean for how we approach friendship? First, It means recognizing that discomfort in friendship isn't always a bad sign. Sometimes it's the growing pain of becoming more yourself. Second, it means being intentional about which friendships you nurture. Ask yourself, does this relationship help me become more authentically me? Or does it keep me small and comfortable? And finally, it means offering your friends the gift of honest reflection rather than just validation. The greatest act of friendship isn't agreeing with someone. It's seeing them clearly and helping them become who they're meant to be. This is why the concept of selfless friendship is ultimately misguided. The best friendships aren't selfless. They're mutually self-expanding. They're relationships where both people grow toward their fullest potential. So perhaps instead of asking, "Am I being a selfless friend?" we should ask, "Am I being a growth-catalyzing friend?" Think about your closest friendships. How have they changed you? What parts of yourself have you discovered through these relationships? And most importantly, are you offering your friends the same opportunity for growth that they've given you? Share in the comments how a friendship has helped you become more authentically yourself. This is the true gift of friendship. Not that someone accepts us exactly as we are, but that they help us become who we're capable of being. So what does all this mean for our friendships? Let's bring everything together and discover why real friendship matters more than selfless friendship. Throughout our journey, we've explored the complex psychology behind our closest relationships, from the personas we present to the world, to the shadows we project onto others, to the soulmate fantasies we create. Now it's time to embrace a more authentic vision of friendship. The truth is, we've been chasing the wrong ideal. Selfless friendship, that perfect, unconditional bond where you'd sacrifice anything for another person, sounds noble, but it's psychologically impossible. And more importantly, it's not even what helps us thrive. What we really need are authentic friendships, relationships where both people can be seen for who they truly are, shadows and all, and still choose to remain connected. These are the friendships that transform us. Think about it. Would you rather have a friend who always agrees with you, or one who challenges you to grow? Would you prefer someone who only sees your carefully crafted persona, or someone who glimpses your full complexity and stays anyway? The most valuable friendships aren't about constant comfort. They're about mutual evolution. They're relationships where you feel safe enough to drop your mask, confront your shadow, and integrate the disowned parts of yourself. I've noticed something fascinating in my own life. My most enduring friendships aren't with people who are exactly like me or who always make me feel good. They're with people who've witnessed my contradictions, called me on my blind spots, and still chosen to walk alongside me. And I've done the same for them. This is why friendship breakups can hurt even more than romantic ones sometimes. When someone has truly seen you, not just your persona, but your shadow, your anima animus, your authentic self, losing that connection feels like losing a mirror to your soul. So how do we cultivate these authentic friendships? First, we need courage. The courage to be vulnerable, to reveal our shadows, to admit when we're projecting our own issues onto others. Second, we need discernment, the wisdom to recognize which relationships have the potential for depth and which will remain at the persona level. And that's okay too. We need different types of connections. And finally, we need patience, understanding that authentic friendship isn't built overnight. It develops through shared experiences, honest conversations, and weathering conflicts together. The paradox of friendship is that by abandoning the impossible ideal of selflessness, we open ourselves to something far more valuable: mutual growth. When we stop trying to be perfect friends and start being real ones, we create space for both people to become more fully themselves. So I invite you to reflect. Which of your friendships feel most authentic? Where do you feel seen beyond your persona? Which relationships challenge you to grow? And most importantly, are you offering your friends the same depth of witnessing that you desire? Share your thoughts in the comments. Has this exploration changed how you think about friendship? What's one step you could take to bring more authenticity to your closest relationships? Remember, the goal isn't to have perfect friendships, it's to have real ones. And real friendship isn't about being selfless. It's about being truthful, being present, and being willing to grow together. If you found value in this psychological exploration, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden patterns that shape our lives. And if you know someone who might benefit from this perspective on friendship, share this video with them. It might just transform a relationship. Until next time, keep seeking authenticity in your connections. The reward is worth the risk.